Mara Shakil live with us from Tokyo. We're going to continue to return to her. Visuals you can see right now on your screen of US President Joe Biden, I believe, shaking hands with the Japanese Prime Minister over there. But he's just climbed out of his vehicle. He's making his way, as you can see, towards the meeting that's set to start in just a little while from now. 4 countries meeting: the United States, obviously the other 4 countries, Australia, Japan and India. Leaders from all 4 set to meet. This is the second in-person meeting that's going to be taking place. A little while ago, there was a virtual meeting between leaders of all 4 countries. Now, that economic partnership we're talking about that they entered into yesterday, IPEF, the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, it is so important because about 40% of the world's GDP is accounted for in just the 12 nations that have signed on to that program yesterday. Today, obviously, important economic and security meetings lie ahead. Let's go over now to our guests. We have a number of experts who are going to be joining us through the day today to bring you more expertise on this story. Right now, I have with me Ambassador Prabhu Dayal. He's, of course, a former diplomat. Let's go over to him to understand more. Ambassador, over the last few minutes, we've spent quite a bit of time, I think, discussing what lies ahead for the country. But what I want to understand from you is, going into this, for the multiple officials, you know, the hundreds of officials, the diplomats that have been planning these meetings out, you know, down to almost every statement over the last few months. I want to ask you, what are the big challenges? What are the strategic questions that lie ahead for India? And when it comes to each of the bilateral meetings that we're going to see today, what are the individual challenges India has with each relationship, with each leadership relationship?
Well, let me sum it up by saying that all the preparatory work has been necessary because the Tokyo Accord Summit provides an opportunity for the leaders of the 4 Quad countries to review the progress of the initiatives taken by the grouping and to seek common ground on countering China's growing regional economic and military clout. Now, let me highlight the fact that the summit takes place with Beijing strengthening up its military and carrying out exercises and maneuvers around the disputed territories, including Taiwan. Now, the US and Japan have been calling for strict action. Very recently, President Biden warned China that it was flirting with danger. Biden also said that the US would be ready to intervene militarily to defend Taiwan.
Right.
And in return, China warned the United States that it would be playing with fire. At the same time, Japan has also been gradually raising the rhetoric on Beijing's military moves. Now, let us look at the position of India and Australia. First, Australia. There is now a new government in place in Canberra.
Right.
And the newly elected Australian Prime Minister, Albanese, had said that the Tokyo Quad talks would be a good way to send a message to the world that there's a new government in Australia. Now, he and his party, which is the center-left Labour Party, have been taking a much softer stand vis-a-vis China as compared to the outgoing government of Scott Morrison. In fact, there was a lot of reportage on the fact that China wanted a change of government in Australia. Now, what about India? Well, India has a hostile relationship with China. There is no secret about it. In fact, no country faces Chinese territorial expansionism as much as India does. But at the same time, India has been trying to lower the pitch, lower the temperature. India wants dialogue. India wants to sort out its border problems with China. So, indulging in a war of words or increasing the pitch of the rhetoric is not going to be helpful, which is why India wants that any statement which is issued after the Tokyo Quad Summit should not unnecessarily increase the tensions which it has directly with China. So let us see what is the sort of statement which is issued. Uh, in all probability, it will be milder than what the United States and Japan want. Let me highlight one thing, however. It is not that India is not beefing up maritime security. India is doing everything possible to do what is required to increase maritime security, particularly in the Bay of Bengal. Now, let me mention that one outstanding example of this is India's development of the port of Andaman. And this is being done with assistance from other countries, most notably Japan. Japan has said it would be investing $31.5 million in the Andaman port. Of course, it is mainly intended to decrease the dependence on diesel fuel and to have solar energy. But the basic idea is that the Andaman port should be made as modern as possible, and that it would serve the needs not only of India, but also of the Quad navies. Let me mention that the Malabar exercise 2021, in which all the four Quad countries took part, was held off the coast of Andaman. The second edition, the first edition, was held off the coast of Philippines. So to develop the port of Andaman is concrete action. So while India may like a softer tone in terms of a statement which Quad issues, purely because it doesn't want to increase the tensions with China, at the same time, there is no denying the fact that India is taking whatever action is needed on the ground. And to me, that is more important.
Okay, Ambassador, I want to understand from you here. Could you tell us a little bit more about India's individual relationships with each of these countries? I know, specifically with something like the United States, it's so broad, particularly in the economic sense. But could you try to kind of almost give us a summary about India's relationship with each of these nations individually?
Well, India has a very close relationship with all these countries. In fact, India has the 2+2 dialogue with all of them. Yesterday, our Prime Minister said that India and Japan are natural partners. And he also pointed out that Japanese investments have played an important role in India's development journey. You would recall that India has been cooperating with Japan in every area possible so that the two countries can benefit from each other's capacities. India has done